Welcome everyone to another episode of Follow the Light Music Review, and this is another new series that I'm starting called Revisiting the Classics. Okay, and what I'm going to be doing in this series is I'm going to look at great albums released across genres in Christian music. And today is a very special episode on one of my favorite hard rock slash metal albums, and it is Resurrection Band's Colors. So we're going to be talking about this album. This was an album that was released in 1980 on the Light Records label, and it was first released on CD by Light Records in 1991, and then it's had some subsequent reissues. So it was reissued on CD by Retroactive Records in 2004, and then the next year it was reissued on CD by Grr Records, which is the Resurrection Band's label. Then again, Retroactive Records reissued this on CD in a digipack in 2017. Then in 2021, Girder Records put this out on vinyl in 3 vinyl variant colors. So the first was the traditional black one. That's the one that I have. Then in royal blue, and then clear with splatter. And I believe you can still get those. And if you have a chance to get them, I would highly suggest it. I'm going to show you the one I have. This is Colors, reissued by Girder. Beautifully done. Another shout out to Scott Waters of No Life Till Metal Graphics. There's the back cover. Everything crystal clear. Great band shots. Opens up into a gatefold with all the lyrics. And it has some notes in here. It has the notes that were in the original. And it also has a write-up by John J. Thompson of TrueTunes.com. So great issue of this. Remastered for vinyl by Rob Caldwell, I believe. I don't know if his name is in this one here. Yeah, Rob Caldwell at Bombworks Sound reissued this. I did actually, this is one of the very, very first things I ever copy edited for Girder Music. So this was back in 2021. So that's about, I think that's when I started working for Girder Music as a copy editor back in 2021, and this is one of the very first projects I ever worked on. So this is a fantastic reissue. If you have a chance to get it, it sounds great on vinyl, sounds great on the CD as well. You can get it still, like I said, in those 3 things. And this came, or comes, if you end up buying it now, comes with a band poster. You got to see this. I can't even, it's not going to even show up. I'm going to have to move back here so maybe you can see some of it in the picture. But I just want you to see this incredible poster that comes with it. Lift it up so you can see the whole thing. Has a nice black and white band photo, and then it's got the colors and some of the images that are on the album cover there. So this is a great reissue of a great album that we're going to be discussing today. So this is my first episode of Revisiting the Classics, and I'm going to talk about this album in particular. So let's let me get the album up here again. And I actually am going to show you again the CD. This one here is the 2004 reissue from Retroactive. That's the one I have. And this one does not have like an extensive booklet that later Retroactive ones have become known for. This is just an open fold with the lyrics. So this is a good one. This is one I wish would be reissued again on CD. It was reissued on CD, like I said, in 2017, but that was a digipack. I'm not a huge fan of digipacks, just because they are easy to, I mean, I take very good care of my digipacks that I have, but they can get scratched up, or the covers look like vinyl covers of the past if they're not taken care of properly. I would love to see this reissued again with a full-size booklet. But for now, this is what we have. It sounds great. Again, this is the 2004 version. This was a limited edition, 1,000 copies. I don't know if this one's in print anymore. I don't think so, because I got this used, and as you can't really see it here, but someone had taken out the tray liner and bent it here. So I think it's very hard to find this one. But there is a 2017 version that's probably still available in the Digipack version, or you can get one of these great vinyl versions here from Girder with the band poster. So let's talk about Rez Band a little bit here. Rez Band, of course, very influential in the Christian music scene starting in the early 70s. So it's amazing this band was putting out this great music in the 70s. When I was growing up, I didn't know about it. Of course, I discovered Rez Band years later in the 80s after my discovery of my real discovery of Christian music. And you can look in my very first introduction to channel video if you want to get more details about my journey into finding Christian music or discovering Christian music. But Rez Band, they actually started out not with the band name Resurrection Band. They were actually first called Charity. That was their first name, and they performed under that name in 1972. So they came out with some independently released cassettes first. All right, and one of those dates back to, I have my notes here, dates back to 1973, if you can believe. Very early part of the 1970s. And that was called All Your Life. And that was more acoustic-based songs. The hard rock came in their second independent release cassette, which probably most people have heard of. It's called Music to Raise the Dead. That came out in 1974. And it actually was reissued on cassette by the band through their Grr Records in 1992. And of course, I don't believe it's very hard to find that, these cassettes. You can look them up on Discogs, but I don't believe there's any copies for sale. Very hard to find them. Then there actually was another demos cassette that was released in 1976. So all of those are very, very, very difficult to find. Then, of course, they went on to record the seminal albums when they got signed to Star Song Records. They released the classics, Awaiting Your Reply, which is their first full-length debut on a major label, Star Song Records. And then they followed that up with Rainbow's End as the second one. And then Colors came out, and they switched record labels. So the first two were on Star Song Records. The Colors album came out on Light Records. So they started having albums on Light Records. So Colors came out in 1980. And again, we could say this was their third full-length album on a major label. Okay, so not counting those original three cassettes, and one was really just a promo cassette, the last one. So this is a album that features the band members Wendy Kaiser on vocals, Glenn Kaiser, the husband of Wendy Kaiser, on guitars and guitar solos, and of course vocals as well. Stu Heiss on guitar and guitar solos as well. So Glenn and Stu have they alternate guitar solos, and it's listed in the notes who plays solos on what songs. And Jim Denton on bass, and the final member was John Herron on drums. Okay, so that was the core of Resurrection Band that were on this album here. And this particular album, I'm going to talk about the songs on here. This is an incredible album. Again, some people, I think I said one time on one of the Facebook forums that Glenn Kaiser was an icon of Christian metal, and someone said, metal? He's not metal. Again, it's that same understanding where people have that when they hear it, well, no, that doesn't sound like metal, that sounds like hard rock. Well, you got to understand that in the 1970s, the hard rock sounds of bands like Deep Purple, who we would probably classify as hard rock now, Led Zeppelin, Outside of maybe a band like Black Sabbath, we would say, oh, they're hard rock bands. But these are what were considered, Aerosmith, another one. These are what was considered the roots of what we call heavy metal today. It was heavy music. Um, and if you remember that term heavy metal thunder comes from a Steppenwolf song called "Born to Be Wild." So it represented heavy music, loud music. All right. So again, I consider Resurrection Band the roots and foundation of heavy metal, hard rock music in the 1970s. So they were doing what the other mainstream bands I mentioned were doing in the 70s. They were doing that, and they were breaking ground. I mean, think about it. There was a resistance to that. Most of the Christian music that had come out prior to that was, Southern gospel or very pop or very adult contemporary type sounds. And don't get me wrong, I like that stuff too, because I love all kinds of genres. But this was very heavy music, and not only that, Resurrection Band were known for very potent and vivid lyrics. I mean, they were part of Jesus People USA in Chicago, Illinois, which was an outreach, to people in the community. They were like a rescue mission for people who were poor, people who were, seeking, people who had needs. So they lived in the down and dirty, gritty lifestyle, seeing life in all of its many, in its good and its bad elements. And they reached out to these people, and so their lyrics reflect that. And they were basically ahead of their time. They were talking about social issues at a time when most Christian music was just talking about Christian themes and biblical lyrics, and nothing wrong with that. Of course, that's the foundation, and that is in their lyrics, of course, as well. But they talk about a lot of people caught in the webs of these things, which makes their lyrics very potent and very relatable. And so this was a band that really broke a lot of ground in Christian music. So I want to talk about all the songs on this album, because it's worth mentioning them all. This album opens up with a track called Autograph. And this opening track has got to feature one of the greatest hard rock instrumental intros in all of Christian hard rock metal. It's like 2 minutes of killer guitar solos and melody and riffing before it enters into the main riff of the song. And when the main riff of the song comes in, Wendy Kaiser opens up singing on this album, and she sings in that gritty rock voice that just fits metal so much. And shout out to Wendy Kaiser as well, because she was also a forerunner, bringing a female rock vocalist, someone who had potent, gritty, just powerful vocals, and a different style of vocals. Her some people would probably not characterize her as the most melodious singer, and that's fine, because that's not what would work with this kind of music. Her vocals work with this kind of music, and they sound great. And she was a forerunner as a female rocker early on in the 70s, and now in this album, the 1980s. So this is an incredible opening track. And again, that opening 2 minutes is like, every time I hear it, I never get tired of hearing it. It's just fantastic. So then the album goes on to the title track, which is Colors. And Colors is spelled, as you notice, on the cover in the British spelling of it, with the U in there. So you might wonder, when you might think it's misspelled, but if you're familiar with British English, it's spelled in the British way of spelling the word colors. With a U in it. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe somebody out there does know that, and you can put that in the comments. Colors opens up with a great kind of groovy bass line that leads into a very rhythmic and melodic riff, and then also features a bluesy guitar solo. Wendy and Glenn harmonize wonderfully on this track, so it's a very strong track. That's followed up by the third track, NYC, obviously short for New York City. This is a very fast-paced hard rocker, using Glenn Glenn has like kind of two vocal styles. Actually, three if you count his later solo albums where he's doing the blues vocal style. But in the Resurrection Bands, he has that really rough, gruff, screamy type vocals. Not screamy vocals that would would be used maybe in death metal, but just like a screamy, raspy, gritty, raw vocal. And then he also has his melodic type vocals in there too, and he uses the screamy type style vocals for this song, New York City. And this one features socially conscious lyrics that discuss people living in the New York City project. So it's a very potent song, lyrically and musically. It's followed up. The next song is Hidden Man. This is a bluesy rocker with Glenn singing with like an ache in his voice as he sings about a hidden man finding the Savior. So this is another strong song. Amazing picks up the pace, another really fast-paced, infectious rocker. Wendy's on lead vocals here, and charging guitar solos by Glenn. Wendy and Glenn, I believe Amazing. Let me check if Amazing. I think seeing the lyrics here, I just want to double check so I'm getting this right. I think Amazing is Glenn doing the lead. Yeah, it's Glenn. Glenn Kaiser does the lead on that song, Amazing. Because Stu Heiss does some of the leads in some of the other songs. This one has a great trade-off between Glenn and Wendy doing the vocals. Really good trade-off. This is followed by American Dream, which I think is one of the highlights. And I think, let's check here. American Dream opens side B of the vinyl version. This track is one of the highlights of the album. It charges along like a train in a track. Glenn mixes up his screaming type style vocals with his melodic ones as he exposes the cracks in the American Dreams. Midway through the song, it kind of goes up about the fears that people have of the bomb. In fact, let me look here in the lyrics here. He says, it won't happen, 1950. It may happen, 1965. It will happen, just don't think about it, which leads into this huge explosion. So it's the kind of keying into the fears of the American had of being bombed. It's an incredibly potent song that you have to hear. The next one, another highlight. This is one of those albums, like, not that the first side isn't strong, but the second side, it doesn't lose any steam at all. In fact, I think some of the best tracks of the album are here on this second side. Benny and Sue, incredible, heartfelt song. This one features lyrics by John Trott, who is not one of the musicians on the album, but also often contributed lyrics to the band. It's an incredible highlight. It's a no-holds-bar tale about two people, and again, right up front lyrics. No, they're not afraid to pull any punches or to talk about serious issues. So it's about Sue, who is a popular girl in high school, who ends up obviously getting pregnant and having an abortion before she even reaches age 17. Then she meets up with Benny, who is a drifting ex-Marine. And in a motorcycle they're riding on, Benny gets them into a motorcycle accident, and he loses his life. She survives, and then it kind of very contemplatively ends the song where Wendy's singing, Sue, do you hear Jesus' call? Talking about Sue in the song. So very incredible storytelling, incredible song, melody, great, one of the highlights. This is followed up by City Streets. This is another high-octane rocker, delves into a person's story, wandering through the streets, looking for love, looking for drugs, looking for life, looking for something in the city streets. And then here's eventually the call of Jesus. And finds redemption. That's followed up with another one, which is I would call another redemption song called Beggar in the Alleyway. Very melodic opening. Wendy again singing on this one with fire as the song builds up into this kind of slow burner melody and musical excellence. This, again, another redemption song about someone finding Christ, the beggar finding Christ. And this has awesome guitar soloing by Stu Heiss on this one. And then the album closes with yet another incredible highlight, a song called The Struggle. This Also has like a melodic and charging melody to it. And the songs deal with the daily struggle of the Christian life, wrestling with the flesh and blood of life, and it features a standout vocal by Glenn Kaiser. He wrenches every ounce of emotion out of his voice when he sings this song, as he sings about his desire to live for Christ, and crying out to the Lord, to live that godly life. So this, in conclusion, this is a bona fide classic album. This is one I would rate 5 stars with no problem. 5 out of 5 stars with no problem. And some other people might say, well, my favorite Res Band album is Awaiting Your Reply. And that's another 5-star album as far as I'm concerned. But this particular album, Colors, is my favorite Res Band album. And I just think it is from opening to closing, there is not a weak moment on this album. It is phenomenal songwriting, phenomenal vocals, phenomenal musicianship, just stellar in all senses of the word. So that's my reflection on a classic in this first episode, and I would say to you that I would really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel, and continue to ring the bell also, so you can continue to get the content that I'm posting here at this point weekly. I'm trying to get a video up every weekly, and I'm trying to start these different series that I can plug into material to. So again, this was episode 1 of Revisiting the Classics, and I encourage you to follow the light that shines out of the darkness. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.